The year 2025 has seen several more cold cases solved in Quebec. We've really seen an acceleration of solving cold cases in recent years, due essentially to some advances in DNA technology. This can mean either just more sensitive tests that allow researchers to extract DNA where they previously couldn't, or sometimes they do it using a process called genetic genealogy, where they can take DNA from an unknown offender that was taken from the crime scene and compare it to DNA that was uploaded to public databases by people who are just members of the public who are just looking to find their relatives. And through that, they can start a kind of detective work that allows them to trace a family tree back and identify a list of people potentially connected to the case, which can be handed to police, who can then narrow down that list and see if a suspect emerges. In Quebec this year, there have been a few cases solved this way. One of the notable ones was the case of Marie Chantal Desjardins. She's a 10-year-old girl who was murdered in 1994, and her case was unsolved for decades, up until when police were able to use some of those techniques to track down her killer and to charge Réal Courtemanche, who was already in prison, with having committed the murder. And that resulted in him being convicted of second-degree murder earlier this fall. The head of Quebec's forensics lab has said that this technique is finding a lot of success. They're managing to solve a few cases every year this way. And she's so encouraged that she's hoping that soon they may be able to apply some of this technology to new cases, in fact. While some people want to see genetic genealogy used even more, one criminologist I spoke to, Michael Artfield, said that there are also some police chiefs, including in Canada, who would actually like to see other ways of solving crimes through DNA. In particular, they would like to see an expansion in the DNA database, meaning being able to take DNA more often from suspects, which right now can only be done in the case of really serious crimes. Doing so would just make it a lot easier to track down suspects without having to resort to family tree tracing or more extensive research, but he also notes that it raises civil rights and privacy concerns.